Agrovivarium, the politics of farming, technology, and forms of life in South Korea. The proposal is a 1-hectare greenhouse for 200 inhabitants to experiment with farming production and alternative forms of living with the contemporary agricultural species and tools. Sunno. The agricultural god in East Asia is believed to influence farming, including tools and species. Since 14th century Korea, it was worshipped by government and farmers. At a ceremony, king would offer farm produce such as wheat and grain at the altar. Peasants and aristocrats would gather to watch the ceremony. At the altar, technology was also showcased. The king would demonstrate to drive the ox plow at the field. Other know-hows are transferred to the peasants, including a comprehensive farming guide called Nongsa Juksuk. The correct plant season techniques are taught by the government. As a result, productivity increased and shaped social hierarchies. Not all farmers own the land they cultivate. A typical example was the unfree people who live in agricultural estate called Nongjang, consists of scattered fields near thatched roof huts surrounding a large tiled roof house. They till the landlord's land using the seed and tools provided to them. In the Nongjang, a Joseon period farmer will live in small huts close to the farmlands and storage for tools and animals, with the landlord providing infrastructures such as road, irrigations, hospitals, and schools. Farmers provide the labor. In return, a pathway to buy and raises one's social status. From a slave to aristocrat class was a major goal at the time. The schema, with policy, taxation, provided incentive for people to farm. In the 50s, land value perishes and the demand for food in the urban has increased during industrialization period. President Park started the Samuel projects, new village reformations. Mechanized tools such as tractors are provided to the farmers for higher productivity. Infrastructures are improved for better transportation. Policy covered morale boost for farmers. Funding to change the thatch roof to slate roof. Reducing yearly maintenance of the original material encouraged participation of the scheme. Values and social relations also change as such. In the domestic space, bathing used to be a communal activity, become private. A primitive kitchen changed to a mechanized kitchen top and sink. Government subsidized change of mud walls to concrete brick walls, reinforcing boundaries between village houses. Productivity raised again, but the values manifest in architecture, such as attitude of ownership, kinship model, and social relation, had changed. A new normal of the modern rural living. Today, South Korea emphasizes on scientific agriculture. Governments plotted schemes comprising various incentives, encourage young people to farm. The subject of status quo best exemplified this policy is Anne, a young returned farmer, worked in Hyundai car factory, feeling the anxiety and competitive environment at the urban. He joined the government schemes to train as farmers. He started a 3-day return farm training camp in a center fitted for education. Live in an individual unit with private kitchen. Lectured about farming at rooms with projectors. Eat with fellow participants in the canteen. He also engaged in group leisure and ceremonial activity in the stage hall. Continued for further training in smart farm. He won a grant of £62,000 from the startup programs from the government to start his own farm. So what is smart farming? Smart farming is a quantitative method of farming, controlling the humidity, sunlight, ventilation, nutrients, and temperature, in forms of feedback loop and closed monitors. Creates artificial climates in polycarbonate and aluminium structure. Plant and environment conditions data are collected to the control panel To maximize yield nationally, governments utilize the data to optimize production nationally. Ant has 10 bays of greenhouse structure. 9 of the bays form efficient growing area for strawberries. The outer bay of the structure houses other usage, for example, an office for its own use, control panels, and storage of tools. Under the same roof, he runs a cafe in the farm for visitors, a soccer pitch for his own leisure. He camps indoor for his child nursing. Farming tools including shade system, draining pipe, are modified for his inhabitation needs. Architecture emerged from the highly controlled forms of production, with feedback loop and government control systems, allow users to run experiments and forms of life. However, the state adopts a 70s town planning methodology to the contemporary mode of production. In the recent completed Joonbok Smart Farm Innovative Valley, a business park is built to hatch more smart farmers. Shown in the master plan, smart farming training facility, rental smart farms, and housing are provided segregatedly. Independent houses for 28 households of farmers locate here. The proposal showcased a possible alternative living cracked from the highly controlled agriculture regime and technology, which dictated forms of life historically. I'd envision another new normal of agro-living with people experiment their forms of life in the Korean landscape. Exemplifying the housing, a generous two-floor detached house perfect for a 4-people family. The town planning displayed assumptions on normalized forms of life and separating work, sleep, education, and cultivation. The design projects seek to scale up the ongoing experiments of the living, exemplified at the status quo case study. It took the opportunity to think a smart farm town within a hectare space in Najusi in south of Korea. Designed for 200 usual inhabitants and visitors, 7 rows of greenhouse bay with width of 24 meters to 48 meters, comprise of different greenhouse systems such as hydroponics and automation farming. There are 2 main ways to approach the building: a narrow pine tree forest as a threshold to the outside world, and an efficient logistical strip for lorry drivers and business users. Surfaces, packaging area locate. In this bay, aquaponics system with filtration and water temperature control for fish and minari to grow. It serves as bathing area for different temperature for the inhabitants. Screen system, ventilation, and climate control system allow inhabitants to form their own bathing gathering while farming. The second bay consists of automation cranes facilities for lettuce and cabbage to grow around 25 degrees in humid conditions. Traveling on cranes across the grow beds, inhabitants can modify the mist system and receipts on metal mesh platform upon the grow beds. Paprika, eggplants, and tomato grow in this layout. Under the glass and steel structure, they grow efficiently. Towards the west of the building, plants grow in bays, varies in width and length, act as visual barrier and acoustic barrier. They form enclosures of different spatial qualities. Near the air exhaustion system, a workshop for experimentation could happen. Plants form hedges for more intimate space that sleeping could happen. LED light for plant growth becomes sensation element of the space. A degree of warmth to cold spectrum cover the space. temperature control by heating units and chill panels, forming microclimates varying from 13 degree to 28 degree. Mist systems and dehumidifier adjust the ideal humidity for lectures or dining. Farming petai is water-intensive. Topography are remodified to keep moisture in soil. The undulating floor are modified to cooking area. Domestic chores could be assisted by fruit-picking robots. The vivarium of aloe vera and cacti has a warm and dry environment. Inhabitants might dry their clothes, enjoy Korean sauna with small-scale shed to cover their head while sunbathing, designing their own features, with dry plants forming a nest, or using cargo board to quick build a shed. Under units of 4-meter by 8-meter structure, such climates and spatial conditions can be achieved by employing various farming equipment, for example heating pipe, LED sensing station, and more. Distinct greenhouses are arrayed with a ceremonial space in the middle. The ceremonial area borrowed the layout of Sunung altar from Joseon, allowing agriculture expo for trading, religious worship, and exhibition of their forms of life to happen. Greenhouse bay, sliding doors and curtains act as soft boundaries between the greenhouses. Inhabitants can share their farming production nuance in technology as well as new forms of living to the visitors. Agriculture expo for trading, religious worship, exhibition of the forms of life can happen here. For trading, religious worship, and exhibition of the forms of life could happen here. While not in use, it acts as leisure and cultivation ground. The proposal showcased a possible alternative living, cracked from highly controlled agriculture regime and technology, which dictated forms of life historically. I envisioned a new normal of agro-living with people experimenting the forms of life in the Korean landscape.